Hello everyone, welcome back to another video and I hope you all are good. So today's video is for those people who are actually using Next.js in their applications but they are actually not sure that whether their application is correctly configured so that it will be more performing in production. So don't skip this video, just keep watching. So the checklist overview. So I'll cover the most important things that has great impact on performance. The first one is images, and the second one is bundle, and the third one is rendering, and the fourth one is caching. So this four like these four piece of things, it's actually has a great impact on the performance. And if you are able to correctly configure those, then it will actually it will be a great win or quick win for you. Well, so about image optimizations, here are some checklists that you need to follow. So you need to use a next image for all images. So and also you need to set proper width and height, which is also important. And let's say if you are using next image but you don't set proper width and height, then actually your application will not be performance optimized and you might get confused. I am using next image but why my uh, application is not performing well, because you don't follow the complete instructions actually. So yeah, so you need to follow the proper instructions obviously. So set proper width and height, and also you need to use priority for above fold images, and also you need to configure remote image domains. Well, so here is an example of a good image declaration and bad image declaration. So if you are using like the HTML basic image tag, actually this will not be optimized at all in your Next.js application. So what you need to do, you need to use a next image, and you need to define like this. You need should have an ALT and for SEO, and you need to also should have a source width and height, and also you need to have the priority. You need to set the priority for the images for LCP image, which is actually large contentful paint. Like those images are like heavy images, like not all of the images in your applications are heavy, so you need to set some priority for the heavy images, and placeholder blur you can set it. And what is the impact of those instructions? Like if you follow those instructions, then the impact will be 50% faster image loading with automatic WebP. So this it's a great impact. Well, and the second one is like the bundle optimizations, and here are the checklists that you should follow. You need to use dynamic imports for heavy components, and as I can say that not all of the components are heavy, so you need to use dynamic imports for heavy components. And then you can use then actually you need to use analyze bundle with next bundle analyzer library. So why this needed? Because you with this library you can see the file size, or if is there any issues with any chunk of your bundle, then actually this bundle analyzer will help you to figure it out. And also this should be tree shake like unused code, and use next font for fonts. Well, so here is an example of a dynamic import, like load only when needed. So it's an heavy chart, and you can just use it like client only false. And I mean, not cleanly false, actually server side rendering it should be false. So this should not be rendered at on server. It can slow down your page loading. So you need to carefully use dynamic import for the heavy component. And also you need to use next font for optimized fonts loading. Otherwise sometimes it might you might experience that your font is not loading, and which eventually cause an error on your console. So next font actually provide you kind of all possible fonts, that common fonts that that we are actually using in real life. So that's why if you're using next, then definitely you should go for next font. And then when you are done with all of those things, then actually you can run analyze true npm run build, then you can visualize your bundle. Well, and then the rendering strategy, which is also very crucial, and you need to careful about this, because here you can see there are the first one is like static rendering, which is actually based for blog, docs, and marketing page. So how you can define it? You can define it like this, like export const dynamic equal force static. So the page will be forcefully static, and so you can just as I mentioned that this will be useful for blog, docs, and marketing. And the second one is server side rendering, which is actually based for dynamic and personalized, fresh on each request. I mean, if you need data on fresh data in each request, then you can define that page as export constant dynamic equal force dynamic. Well, and the third one is best for frequently updated. I mean, sometimes you need the caching. I mean, you need to cache the page, but you need to revalidate the page after every 60 seconds. Like the data is not frequently, like if the data is frequently updated, then you can go for it. So the rule would be the static is by default and dynamic only when it's necessary. So if I go back to this page, actually, you need to. So what I would like to say that you can see there are three options. So you need to decide which options you should use and for which pages. So it actually depends on your uses. Well, and the last one, which is actually more crucial as well, which is actually caching. So you need to cache API response properly. Otherwise, let's say you create a item, but this is not reflected on your list because it's still cached the old data. So cache is like the caching is very nice things, but you need to be more careful about revalidate the data when the data is being updated. Otherwise, like the user will always see the old data. And also you can use react cache for deduplication and set appropriate revalidation times, which is actually more important that I already said. And also you need to implement loading.tsx for the ux. So here is a smart caching example. You can see here like cache expensive operations like get user, and with revalidation it actually revalidate, because when an user is logged in, it's very rare or like user update their profile data. So you can set some, like you can set a revalidate 1 hour, like after 1 hour it will again cache the latest data. And actually I'm not going to cover more about caching. Like you can follow the Next.js caching, and there you can find that you can set, let's say you set the like you set 1 hour for revalidation, but you can also set it immediately before that forcefully using update tag. So that's the another topic that I'll cover on another video. So but for now I would like to recommend you to check the Next.js caching documentations, and you can find there are lots of options. So what I'd like to suggest that please read those three topics deeply from Next.js documentation so that you can apply it properly in your applications, and then your applications performance will be like you can see the performance in your applications. So the caching, actually the great impact for caching is like reduce database calls by 90%. So it's a great win. So what you can do for quick wins, like you must have used next image, and you need to add loading.tsx files, and you should implement error.tsx boundaries and use server components by default. And you need to configure next config.js properly. And the nice to have, add web vitals monitoring and implement root prefetching, use edge runtime where applicable, enable partial rendering, pre-rendering, and compress with gzip. And then finally it's time to measure your application performance. So there are lots of tools available in So you can use Lighthouse in Chrome DevTools. You can use Next Web Vitals. Also, you can use Next Bundle Analyzers for the performance. So your target score should be for LCP less than 2.5 seconds, and for if ID for less than 100 millisecond, and for CLS it would be less than zero point 0.1. Well, so here are some action plan for you. For optimize images, you should use next image everywhere. And for shrink bundle, you need to use dynamic imports for large component. And you need to use the right rendering like static fast. And you need to use cache smartly and use revalidate wisely. Well, then you can fix those issues and deploy your application in production, and you can see the performance impact. Well, so thanks for watching, and if you like this video, then please put a comments and don't forget to subscribe these channels for more videos like this. And till then, good luck.